So greetings from the woods of Pennsylvania once again, and it's time to make one of those videos where I get pretty much everybody mad at me. Well, not everybody, but I know I will ruffle quite a few feathers in this video, but hey, yes, that's the way it is sometimes. But you can tell by the title of the video, we're going to be talking about the existence of black mountain lions or black panthers. Because you know, recently I've started a video series on mountain lions in Pennsylvania where we're discussing there's a big conspiracy or a big controversy out there whether mountain lions exist in Pennsylvania or not. I did a whole video, the intro video to that series. Actually, this video will be part of that series. But we've been going to different locations, and telling stories about sightings, and then setting up trail cams to see if we can catch any evidence ourselves. Actually, that's what I'm doing out here today. I just set a trail cam up in the woods over there. I'm up here in the gold mine area of Lebanon County. But I thought this might be a good spot just to discuss the existence of black mountain lions. Yeah, I don't know if you can see my trail cam set up right there. Got facing over there. I have some bait, some scent lure set up, and some sardines as well. But that's for another video though. But yeah, what got me thinking about this topic? Well, it's interesting because in the comment sections and emails and different hunting and outdoorsmen's forums I read or listen to and things like that, there's a decent percentage of the sightings, like places like here in Pennsylvania, are people saying they see black panthers or black mountain lions. So, which even if they did exist, I'll talk about that in a moment, would be very rare. So why are so many of the sightings such a high percentage of these black ones? And that got me wondering, do black mountain lions even exist? I know there's other big cats that do have black phases, or what we call the melanistic phase. So I wondered, do mountain lions have that too? But anyway, before we get into that, let's talk about the whole melanistic phase about animals. Do a little bit of background first. So some animals do have what we call a melanistic phase or a dark phase. And melanistic refers to melanin, which is the dark skin pigment that gives them that dark color. Some common examples would be squirrels. You have the black phase of the eastern gray squirrel. Black squirrels are not a separate species of squirrel. They're still gray squirrels. They just have the extra melanin in them, the melanistic phase. You can have white squirrels too. Some foxes have like a dark phase. I think it's called a cross fox. They have different phases they go through, color phases. Even black bears are black, but there's a color phase called the cinnamon bear. I've never seen one. I'm not sure how common they are in Pennsylvania, but it's not uncommon for certain species to have different color phases. But it is something to remember though, that they're not a separate species. Some people think that there's a whole separate species of like black squirrels, or even when it comes to panthers, black panthers they call them. They're not a separate species, okay? They're just a color phase of the normally colored species, if that makes sense. So, and also that color phase does occur in certain species of big cats, but not all of them. That's the catch. But of course, the burning question then is, which big cat species does the melanistic phase occur in? It doesn't occur in all of them. But let's not go there just yet. I wanted to talk first about the whole name. Like, I'm talking about black mountain lions, but the term panther is used so often, black panthers. This gets confusing because cougars or mountain lions, cougars are not actually panthers. They get called black panthers. It gets confusing. Just recently, every year in my biology classes, we talk about common names versus scientific names. Every animal has a scientific name, but animals have common names too. But common names can get confusing. Like the mountain lions have so many common names. There's mountain lion, there's cougar, there's puma, panther, some old-fashioned names. They get called a catamount or wildcat or a painter, all different kinds of names. And depending on where you're from, they can get called any variety of those. But the problem is, mountain lions are not panthers. They're not even in the panther family. I have some notes here about, if you remember your scientific classification, you have kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, and all that kind of stuff. Cougars or mountain lions are not in the panther family. Actually, it's a subfamily, the panther subfamily. They're not. Leopards and jaguars are panthers. Mountain lions are not technically panthers, although they get called that quite a few places. Like in Florida, there are mountain lions in Florida down in the Everglades, but they're almost never called mountain lions down there. They're almost always called the Florida panther. So it gets confusing. Panthers are technically a group of animals. I have it written down here. You have big cats that live near the equatorial regions near the equator, primarily those areas. But mountain lions exist in areas away from the equator as well. They're just not in that family. And there's other distinguishing features too. So it gets confusing. They're often referred to as black panthers, but they're technically not panthers, but in a lot of places they get called panthers, so it can be, that whole topic can get confusing. Because that brings us into the fact that which cats do get that melanistic phase. Like jaguars are one of those big cats that do have the melanistic phase, and jaguars are actually panthers, and you can actually have black jaguars or / black panthers. But mountain lions do not have that melanistic phase. Across the board, all the research I've done, they do not. There has not been a single recorded, whether in the wild or captive or in a zoo, of there being a single melanistic phase of the mountain lion or the cougar. So there's no calling, if you think, when you're calling cougars or mountain lions panthers, there's absolutely no case of a black panther in that sense, if that makes sense. Yeah, but no matter where I looked, yes, there are all kinds of sightings of people saying they've seen black panthers or / black mountain lions, but across the board, no scientific research has showed, there's been no sightings in the wild, like legit, like photos of a black mountain lion, none in the zoos, none in captivity. In fact, a lot of, like when it comes to the jaguars and leopards also have the black phase. They're kind of common sometimes in zoos or in captivity because people like the black phase, but in mountain lions there's absolutely no like honest evidence for them having a black phase. And like I said, I know I'm going to ruffle quite a few feathers by saying that, but that's the evidence out there. What are people seeing? I'll talk about that a little bit later. I wanted to read something from you that I printed off from one of those forums. They were talking about black panthers a little bit. Yeah, so this is some stuff I printed off. I forget what forum it was. There's tons of hunting forums and outdoors forums. Just gives you, it's just interesting to hear what other people have to say about the topic. Believers and non-believers. So, I think this first account takes place in New Mexico, where they do have mountain lions, but they also have another big cat in Mexico, especially like the very southern part where they're very rare down there, the jaguar. So here we go. A lady friend nearby has been losing chickens to predators. It only happens when she lets them out of their stockade, the chickens. Her dogs have treed 2 mountain lions near her house recently. One is the usual tan color, but the other one is black. All right. She showed me a phone pic of it, and it's a very good pic. I haven't managed to get a copy of her pic yet. So he doesn't have a pic to share on the forum, and people point that out. There have been a couple of jaguars sighted in far southern New Mexico and Arizona. So I thought it might be a jaguar, but it's a lot higher elevation, colder winters here than down there. So I guess maybe they're a bit further up in New Mexico. But yeah. Here's the next comment. This one bothered me. Panthers and mountain lions are the same thing. I just talked about that earlier. They are not the same thing. If you're talking about, like I said, mountain lions get called panthers sometimes, but mountain lions are not panthers. Okay, look it up yourself. Mountain lions are not. They're not even in the panther family. Okay, I have the family. They're in the. Yeah. Well, actually, it goes family and then genus. Like jaguars and leopards are in the Panthera family. Mountain lions are in the Puma genus. That makes sense. Or I should say Panthera genus and the Puma genus. So mountain lions are not panthers. Okay, period. I know they all think they called that, but they're not in that same family. So panthers and mountain lions are the same thing, and there certainly are black ones. Certainly. You know, where are the pictures? I know there are pictures. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Nice find. Okay. Then someone responds, no black melanistic mountain lions have ever been recorded. Ever. No black melanistic mountain lions have ever been recorded. Ever. And he's correct about that. The next comment. They have not been. Alright, here's another comment to that. Your friend has either seen a darker brown mountain lion, a black jaguar, or an escaped captive leopard, or some kind of other exotic cat. Or perhaps she has documented the very first black mountain lion ever known to occur in nature, in all of history. To occur in nature, yeah, I like that phrase. Or perhaps she has documented the very first black mountain lion ever known to occur in nature or in all of history. He's being a bit sarcastic there. He's just pointing out the fact that none has ever been recorded in nature or all of history. Or maybe just too much eggnog. Place your bet. And here's another comment. In my understanding, there has never been a documented black mountain lion. And the first thing I noticed in the photo, oh, he's talking about a photo that someone shared, that it's not actually a mountain lion, it's a leopard. I think it was a photo that someone else had shared. Here's someone. I agree with the post above. It may appear very dark because of photographic lighting. It's an escaped exotic, or the very real possibility that it's a wild black jaguar, because you're in New Mexico. And someone says, we need pictures. Exactly, we need pictures. Where's the pictures? I brought that problem up in some of my other videos, and actually the video I'm making, the other video I'm making here about mountain lions potentially here in the gold mine area, is in that video I challenged people to send me pictures. Everybody tells me they have pictures, shots from their trail cams, video footage, but nobody ever sends me anything. I don't actually see it. The same with this. The guy's reporting what his neighbor lady saw, but he doesn't have a picture. The person says, we need pictures. Yeah. Right. Then he responds, the original comment, I'm going to try and get that pic from her. Of course, his story tries to change a little bit here. He goes to being like pretty sure what she saw was a black mountain lion, and it starts to change here. I'm going to try and get that pic from her. I'll put it up here when I do. It never showed up. Maybe it's just super dark brown, not quite black. This black mountain lion. And I'm taking her word for that. She says it's as big as her dog, meaning it's not just some black cat that she took a picture of and she's pulling my leg. All right. Let's see here. And there's another comment here, which I like. The funniest thing about mountain lion sightings in places that aren't supposed to have mountain lions is that a large percent of them are black panthers. I think I said a little bit at the beginning. So in places like here in Pennsylvania, where you're not supposed to have mountain lions at all, a large percentage of what people say they're seeing are black ones. So it's, yeah. So in areas with large, healthy populations of mountain lions, no black ones have ever been documented. And now in places where no populations of mountain lions are known to exist, nearly everyone seen by somebody's cousin is black, referring to black mountain lions. It's a red flag of ignorance. That's what it is. Ouch. But he's kind of true though, because once again he's saying that in places where mountain lions are common, there's healthy populations of them, there's no black ones. But in places like here where they're not really supposed to exist, a decent percentage of what people are saying are seen are black ones. It doesn't make any sense. Mathematically, it doesn't make any sense either. Then the guy who made the original comments again. I'll try to get the pic. The lady is sort of a hermit and a bit crazy though. So by saying that she's a bit crazy, you're basically discrediting your whole story that she saw a mountain lion, a black one. So interesting. All right, just gonna start making my way out of here. But at this point in the video, some of you probably stopped watching already. Some of you are very angry at me for some of the accusations I'm making. Some of you might find it pretty intriguing. But let me repeat that, that evidence. There is absolutely no known documented case of there being a black mountain lion. But somebody would say, well, isn't there the super rare off chance that there would be one? Maybe, but the chances that you're seeing one, especially here in a place in Pennsylvania where even if they did exist, they would be super rare. The idea that in an area where they are already super rare, you're seeing the super rarest of ones that would exist, a black one. Mathematically, that's pretty much impossible. Okay, I mean, it's just not. Black mountain lions don't exist. That's basically what I've come up with in the research. I know there's a lot of people out there saying they've seen them. What are they seeing? Are they seeing something? Perhaps. But just like with my other mountain lion videos, some of you are going to like what I have to say with that. There's about 3 different possibilities for what people are potentially seeing. One possibility is that they are seeing someone's pet that has escaped or been released. Like I said, jaguars and leopards do have the black phase. I think black leopards are a little bit more common. So that is a possibility. I know recently I looked up what kind of exotic pets you're allowed to have in Pennsylvania. And you can have mountain lions as a pet. I'm pretty sure you can have other big cats as pets too. Not everybody. You have to have a special permit to have and probably pay a decent amount of money. So it's possible that it was someone's pet, As with a lot of exotic pets like alligators, they're cool when they're little, but then they get bigger. They don't really know what to do with them, so they let them go. So that's one possibility what people are seeing. Another one, when it comes to even just regular mountain lion sightings, the vast majority of what people are seeing are bobcats. I point out in other videos, some people get mad at me about that, but you look at a lot of the footage on some of the different sites I go to and stuff that's been sent to me, people are saying it's people are saying it's a mountain lion. It's clearly a bobcat. It has a little bobtail, like different tufts on his ear, and like I said, different markings on his legs that clearly make it out to be a bobcat. And although it's rare, there is a black melanistic phase for the bobcats too. So that's a possibility too. Some people are seeing a black bobcat. And the worst one of all that gets people frustrated with me the most, some people are just seeing a black house cat. Yes, so some people get mad at me, say, "Hey, Cliff, how can people confuse, house cat with, a mountain lion?" It happens all the time. It's a whole thing with scale and perspective. A lot of the sightings are like out in a field where there's different. It's difficult to determine the scale of how big a creature is. I think I've mentioned this before in one of my other videos. I know, like over in England, there's this whole big black cat conspiracy thing that people are seeing, but they let me switch hands here. But they did a little experiment with that. They had several cardboard cutouts of a black cat. One was the size of a house cat, one was the size of a panther, mountain lion, whatever you want to call it, and another was a mid-size. And they put the house cat size one way out in the middle of the field, no trees, no nothing around it, and they brought the person out there blindfolded, and then they took the blindfold off and turned them around to face the field where the cardboard cutout of the house cat size cat was. They said, "Is that what you saw?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's what I saw. That's the big black cat that I saw." Then they have someone come out from the woods, which is way over here, and walk towards that cutout, and all of a sudden you can see just how small that cutout is compared to the size of the person. You used to see the person's jaw drop, like, "Oh," because they thought they were seeing a big black cat, but it's not. And I think it happens a lot with certain sightings of black panthers too. I know people don't like that, but it happens all the time. Even on some of those different groups that I follow on Facebook about mountain lions in Pennsylvania, people post pictures of house cats. They think it's a mountain lion. People say, "Cliff, people know the difference between mountain lions and cats and bob." No, you might, and other people might, but there's plenty of people out there who don't. They see a house cat off in the distance, or they have some blurry trail cam footage of some kind of cat, but it's just a house cat. It happens all the time. So you can get mad at me for that, but I'd also encourage you to go to those sites, some of those face group sites about mountain lions or things, and look at the pictures that people post sometimes to see for yourself what I'm talking about. But whether you agree with me or not about what I'm saying, I would encourage you to do your own research too. Go online, read books, see what they have to say. Do your own research on the topic. And if you're absolutely convinced that you've seen a black mountain lion, how do you explain the science behind it? There's absolutely no documented case of one ever existing, whether in the wild or in captivity or in zoos. How do you explain that? I'm kind of curious. And yes, science can be wrong sometimes. One of my favorite things to watch on YouTube or otherwise is where people go looking for extinct species. And sometimes they discover that the species isn't extinct. Even though science said it was extinct, they've rediscovered them. But you know what? You know how they prove that they've rediscovered them? They have pictures and video of the actual animal. Not just sightings or not even like blurry pictures. They've actual documented footage, or they've actually discovered the animal itself and they're actually holding it. One was like a tortoise down the Galapagos Islands. They actually found it. It was supposedly extinct. But they have actual evidence, legit evidence. So if black mountain lions are real, that's what you need. You need actual solid evidence, being solid, clear, solid photographic evidence or DNA evidence or something like that. That's what you need. So that's just reality. That's what you need. But I certainly enjoyed doing the research on this topic. It was something, like I said, to kind of pique my curiosity. Like all these black mountain lion or black panther sightings, is there such a thing as a black mountain lion? I knew there was the melanistic phase in other large cats, but I never really read much about being a mountain lion, so I did the research on it. It was interesting. But just keep in mind too that everything I presented to you in this video is not my opinion. You can get frustrated with me all you want, but it's not my opinion. It's based on the evidence or the lack of evidence that's out there for the case of there being black mountain lions. So just keep that in mind too. And as always, I'm curious to know what you have to think or what you have to say down below in the comments. What do you think of the possibility of there being black mountain lions, or what are people seeing? And before you blow your top or whatever, maybe, like I said earlier, maybe do a little bit of your own research first to look into it. But yeah, I mean, and be kind and respectful in the comments. You know, if you get too ugly, I do delete stuff that gets too ugly. You don't have to be a jerk in the comments. Just because someone doesn't agree with you on certain things, you can still be respectful back and forth with people, and you know, stuff like that. Anyway, just keep that in mind. Sometimes some of you guys get kind of ugly in the comments. But anyway, like I said, yeah, let me know what you think. But I think that'll be it for this video. I probably blabbered enough about the topic. So, all right, like I said, it was just an interesting topic. I wanted to ease my curiosity, and I did. I know this is kind of a controversial topic, and it's not my intention either to make you upset, but I'm just presenting the evidence, like I said, or the lack of evidence. All right. But once again, I'm curious to know what you think down below in the comments as well. All right. Thanks for coming along. Hopefully see you on the next one.